Namaha Namaste. Welcome to your 5 minutes of self-care. Today I'd like to speak to you about how to avoid burnout, because I can see it everywhere at the moment that people are just about to burn out. And how can you avoid that? And I will tap a bit in philosophy and also the philosophy of yoga and Buddhism. We speak about dukkha, suffering. And suffering is something that we also impose on ourselves by pursuing something that we want because we think we need it. And I'm emphasizing on it, we think we need it. What we want is not necessarily what we need to develop further, to grow. And it is an illusion that we all have absolute free will. There's a certain extent we have free will in our lives, but there are certain cycles that repeat themselves, meaning we have accumulated lots of amounts of trauma within the past lives, depending on what you believe, and in our childhood between 0 and 7 years old. Because our brain is in a theta brainwave, which is a light hypnotic state, meaning anything that we observe, we see, we learn between 0 and 7 years old, how our parents, how our friends, how our surroundings interact with each other, that will be imprinted in our own being and also in our subconscious mind. This means that what you learn then can stick with you for the rest of your lifetime. And you can enter into different cycles of your lives that will repeat themselves and they will be similar. And you will find yourself in the same crossroad again and again until you have such a harsh awakening, wake-up call, hitting rock bottom so hard that you realize, okay, there's something I need to change. And there's not something that I have to change within my external circumstances, but within myself. Because that change can only be invoked within ourselves. It's not about other people saving us. Sorry. Now, if this happens, the only thing you can do, you have already hit rock bottom, which means you couldn't avoid the burnout. Most likely you are literally going through it. And I can tell you this from own experience because I've experienced them many times in my life. And I'm getting a hang to it, how to avoid them by now. Whatever I share with you is great theory, but I know also the practice. And that's sometimes where I mention also you need to walk your talk. As a practitioner, as a healer, as a yogi, and as a yogini and a yoga teacher, a healer, you need to walk your own talk. And this is something really important because we cannot be out there holding space for others while we still have addictions, while we believe that we are perfect. That is not the case. We all will be students and we still have to go through our own healing period. Now, if you hit this moment of rock bottom and try to get back up, and that can be a life crisis, that can be a financial crisis, that can be everything together in one go, then it is a matter of stepping back and healing that trauma, that part of yourself that has repeated itself again and again. Now, if you burn out, what are the reasons in burning out, especially with work or anything that is very dear to us? The main reason is because we are swimming upstream. We're going against resistance too much and too hard. And we need to learn a lesson there that has not been yet unfolded to us to be entirely conscious. That lesson needs to be learned. How can you avoid it? become aware and conscious. Meditation. Become aware and conscious of these cycles that repeat themselves again and again. When you hit resistance and you feel you swim upstream, let go. Let go. Step back, let go. There's no need to literally bang your head against the wall. There's no need to do that, because that is just going to reinforce your burnout and it's going to make you feel even worse. I may assume something. I put a hypothesis out there. Burnout, the source of burnout is the fear of not being good enough. The fear of not being good enough, meaning you have to prove to the outside world that you're worth your value. You have to prove the outside world that you are worth it and that you're worth your value as a human being. That's pretty messed up. But most of us have this fear, and we are fighting it most of our lifetimes. The fear of being abandoned, the fear of not being good enough. The fear of being not good enough means you're over-pleasing, over-giving, wanting to have external validation of your worth, wanting external appraisal, confirmation, approval of your worth. And that does not work, because the more we look outside of ourselves, trying to get this validation from outside of ourselves, we are not able to be ever happy and content and in peace, because our peace and contentment and happiness is depending and attached to the outside circumstances. And that's just not. That is a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for burnout. How to do it is to really heal that fear of not being good enough, and actively working on self-love, knowing that all of us are deserving of love, all of us are deserving of unconditional love, all of us are deserving of the validation of our worth and value within ourselves, knowing that you are worth it and you value your time, energy, and space. And it will not be easy, that journey, because some people will fall away in your life and some jobs will fall away. And when they fall away, it's just for you to show yourself that, okay, wait a minute, what can I change now within myself and heal that trauma that I have received between 0 and 7 years old, depending on what you believe. If you believe there are no past lives. If you believe in past lives, there's a lot of ancestral traumas that are now currently, with the energies that are happening at the moment, are coming out to the surfaces. And when you're in a healing process, that does not mean, or even as a healer, that doesn't mean that we don't continue on this journey. You are never ever 150, 80, 200% healed. There's always something coming up, but you're able to deal with it easier. And it comes up, it triggers, and you know exactly where it comes from, and you can manage. You can work and live with it. It does not feel like you're getting a high emotional up, down, roller coaster of feelings and emotions and acting out that could actually have repercussions on your life. And I say to many people when they feel this, like this burnout, it's not the right time to take any life decisions. It's not the right time to take drastic measures. It's about stepping back, listen within, start a meditation practice, have enough sleep. Sleep is so important, recalibration time. Have movements to move that stuck energy. Journal, write down what's happening in this head, because that helps us to really, like a therapy, to understand what's going on. Contemplate, be in nature to ground. And I know it is counterintuitive, because when we experience burnouts, most likely it is very harsh on us, because financially we could have lost our jobs and we have all the bills to pay. Emotionally, always, if you have been abandoned or you have been left by your partner, that can also create this anxiety. You need to do something now. But that anxiety is just an illusion. That is just the fear that we need to do something now at that moment. But no, it's exactly the opposite. You don't do anything. You step back and find grounding, clarity, calmness. Because from that space, that's where we take decisions, and the wise decisions. And not out of panic, anxiety, and the feeling of we have to. So, number 1, resistance, swimming upstream. What we want is not necessarily what we need in life. To be the best version of ourselves and to step up to our mission and purpose to uplift and inspire humanity. And finding yourself, who you really are. Because burnouts can happen if you're not aligned with the person that you pretend to be to the outside world. That's pretty much in a nutshell. Namaha, Namaste.